get into it, guys. Game number 1 of our quarterfinals. We have number 1 seed 𝗬𝗵𝗶 versus number 8 seed 𝗃𝗃.
And looking at this team, okay, this is actually the first time I've seen 𝗃𝗃∗ full team, and it makes sense in terms of how the 𝗃𝗃 is snuck through draft. There's a lot of things that look on the surface like they're very frightening here, but 𝗬𝗵𝗆 is not blinking. He just sees the 𝗃𝗃 and bans the 𝗃𝗃. I think that's very reasonable given what we've seen out of 𝗃𝗃's plays in Swiss.
Yeah, I heard a couple people in chat saying, how is the 𝗃𝗃 going through? It looks like 𝗃𝗃 not going to have none of that. So let's see. It looks like the 2-rock will get the ban on the side of 𝗬𝗵𝗆. Fair enough. It's effective into the Waspine. Has that Feather Galley for the Tortonite. Noxious Bomb potential for that Piranha as well. So yeah, good bans all around starting game number 1. Let's see what 𝗬𝗵𝗆 starts off, because I'm assuming going 5-1. Or just 5-0 rather. He's had to have just a banger of an opening lineup. And I'm seeing that water Chromion. That has to be a pigment inverter, right?
I feel like it must be, because I'm not... Okay, while we do have center typer targets here, there's the 𝗬𝗵𝗆, there's the 𝗵𝗵𝗆, there's the 𝗃𝗽𝗍. The question is, like, we're not seeing any synergy on that as well, right? We don't see a 𝗂𝗀𝗆 in here. We don't see a 𝗏𝗏𝗄s or a 𝗏𝗃𝗄𝗽 or anything like that to, like, try to get the center typer and the synergy. So my question is, like, are they just eschewing that? Is it a center typer that's just outputting pure water damage? Or is it, as you're suggesting, a pigment inverter that's just going to throw some horrific damage onto this Tortonite? Still, though, 𝗃𝗃 is coming in strong with the Tortonite 𝗃𝗏 lead, going straight up turtle strats here.
Yeah, we'll see how effective, because I dare say this is the first 𝗃𝗏 we have seen in the top 8. Usually we see it with some things like the cheese strat, with things like a side pat or a 𝗵𝗵𝗆 to his side. It doesn't seem to be one-shotting that tanky Tortonite, so I think he's just going to be playing 𝗃𝗏 just normally, just trying to go with some good digital pressure onto both of 𝗬𝗵𝗆's Temtems, effective into the digital of 𝗬𝗏𝗵, effective into the melee of 𝗵𝗃. So maybe 𝗃𝗏's kind of being clutch here.
We might very well see that. One thing I might expect, if 𝗃𝗃 is able to get the same sort of space that he has created in previous games, is we could see Penance come out of that. That's an often forgotten about 2-hold move that gives +2 to both attack stats to its partner. If 𝗃𝗃 is forced to actually put momentum into this game, I can see him like stalling things out and getting himself into the same space where he's able to actually put that on something like the Piranha that he's purgationed before, or the Tortonite, and really going full bore with that.
Oh, I love that. We'll see if that does go down, because a +2, maybe +3 attack with that purgation, as you mentioned. Probably one Noxious Bomb, even despite not having stab. Probably enough to take down that 𝗃𝗽𝗍. Maybe not in one hit, but at least do something like 80-90%. We'll have to take a look. But here we go, everybody. Game number 1 of our quarterfinals has begun. Let's see who starts off with a little momentum, getting a comfortable lead going into that game 2. Is gonna be just a good old 𝗵𝗃 𝗬𝗏𝗵 versus a bit of an unconventional startup, a Tortonite with the 𝗃𝗏. I don't really know too much what to expect, except kind of like the straightforward stuff, of course.
Yeah, Faraday Cage does feel like a no-brainer here. My question, of course, is like... Okay, so we do, like, almost immediately 𝗃𝗃 takes the words out of my mouth, as we do actually see an immediate swap there. I was thinking perhaps the Piranha, but you don't want to bring that into a Wastewater Boy, when in fact we have a Rolder right there that has Stonewall available. The fact that Rolder has that Stonewall is the kind of thing that we can then, like, see 𝗃𝗃 try to gain space with, as the Electro Punch swap-in is right there, as it's only taking, like, under 15% from that.
Yeah, beautiful read for 𝗃𝗃, knowing that that would have been 4x damage onto his 𝗃𝗏. So swapping in that thick boy Rotor, and you know, reactive Vile Tortonite, that has to be one of the first times we see that here. And not too shabby, getting an uppercut but recovering some of that 15% HP. And just a good Crystal Spike, it looked like, doing about 35%. But Cyber Claw, that 3-power technique, trying to bring that Tortonite a bit down. Humiliating Stab, does it take it under the 50? Yes, it does. So 44% even, standing as it is currently.
Oh man, is this a double Stonewall turn? That's really what this feels like. As yes, we are going to see this Tourney reach a net +3/+2 on its respective defensive stats. This is how 𝗵𝗵𝗸𝗶𝗴 has gotten this trainer rolling in those previous games. Taking an entire turn with 2 bulky Tems just to buff up is precisely what his game plan appears to be. The reactive Vial, I always love seeing that on unorthodox Tems. I saw it on a Piranha the other day. I've been seeing it on 𝗬𝗵𝗶, of course, with Trot. There's all sorts of different places it winds up showing up. In the meantime, though, we do see the Waspine come in, giving a bit more recovery to Tourney. The Royal Jelly, alongside what's probably going to be a Garden this turn, meaning a really valuable bit of recovery onto the Turtle, which is already just so hard to take down. We see the Wastewaters coming out there to try to mitigate this, but this is a synergy Garden as well, so that's 3 turns of Doom. That's 16% heal alongside the 3% heal, so that's a 19% heal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe with the recent patch, they buffed the Tortonized Garden up to 20% with the Crystal Synergy, so recovering even more. So yeah, that tanky,
about that.
Yeah, tanky Browser doing kind of good. And now 𝗵𝗂𝗇, let's try to think about how is 𝗬𝗵𝗆's game plan against the Doom strat. How can he remove it? I'm not seeing any exhaustion. I'm not seeing any hypnosis. Does he just gotta feel the burden of Doom? I think he just has to bear it here.
Unless, okay, right. Wild, like, okay. If this 𝗬𝗵𝗆 has Purgation, it's one of the 2 Tems that gets it. I don't believe any 𝗬𝗵𝗆 runs it, but if he does, then fantastic. He's got the silver bullet for this. We do see that this is, in fact, Parrier 𝗵𝗂𝗇. As it starts charging into this, it looks like it is going to be able to get a ton of good turns out regardless, as the Waspine does get its Generified turn up, but we see the aggression go straight into the Tortonite spot, and it looks like the combination of that uppercut and the Electro Punch means that this thick roller is actually going to go down.
Yeah, not too bad. A good 1-2 punch. And yeah, +2 attack. 𝗵𝗂𝗇 packing such a punch, bringing that thick boy rotor under. I mean, even electric punch is enough to do it at that percentage it was at. So good kill. 𝗬𝗵𝗆 taking the first Temtem down of these quarterfinals. And oh, I feel like this is almost a bait, or maybe it's appropriate because 𝗬𝗵𝗆 at very low stamina. So 𝗵𝗵𝗆 saying if you want to go for another electric punch, you're gonna have to overexert quite greatly to do so. Does he swap out to the Tortonite in the back? Is this a bait and switch?
My only problem with that is, if this is a bait and switch, I think 𝗬𝗵𝗆 can legit call his bluff here. The 𝗵𝗂𝗇's still up, and there's nothing stopping it from just throwing another uppercut into that. Sure, like, if he does that, he trades an already dead 𝗵𝗂𝗇. No, he blinks! Bringing out the 𝗵𝗔 instead, which does allow him to copy his own tireless 𝗵𝗂𝗇, getting another one out on the board. That's another way to play this for sure, as we do see the Wastewater come in, just getting one more heavy attack off before it goes down.
Yeah, and here we go. The Crystal Deluge with the mental synergy will be sleeping that mimetized 𝗵𝗂𝗇 as it enters the board. And 𝗧𝗲𝗺 attacking the same spot, so he wakes it up. Oh, man, I wonder why he didn't go after the real... Oh, yeah, because of the Doom, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So just getting some good damage onto the 𝗵𝗂𝗇 there. All right, so do you know the Doom worked? And it might be an effective strategy if he could continue to get that Crystal Synergy, heal up that Tortonite. You know, 𝗵𝗵𝗆 maybe showing that Kinu wasn't all that he was heavily being reliant on. So I'm loving 𝗵𝗵𝗆's strategy here, even without the Kinu.
My big concerns here is that he's lost every other element of defensive buffs on his team outside of Tortonite, which is already down to 37%. That thing needs protection going in. As people have been talking about in chat as well, it doesn't appear that this Waspine is in fact Royal Jelly. It does appear that it's Wax Bath, which, hey, that's more special defense buffs, but the problem is you're not getting that sweet HP that would be really valuable on your Tortonite right now. So, while I agree that 𝗵𝗵𝗆 is not in a bad position here, and the 𝗬𝗏 is actually in a pretty competent state to, push further into this 𝗵𝗔, into the 𝗬𝗵𝗆 perhaps, This comes with the caveat of it's not like 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗀 has that huge bulwark to rely on, like with the last bit there.
Yeah, absolutely. A benefit there. 𝗧𝗍𝗎 would go so far with this Tourney already buffed up. But I think you're right with that Volrun in the background. If it's an anaerobic Volrun, if it's able to get a couple buffs, I don't think Tourney will be able to do too much to it, especially with those Feather Gatlings coming its way. So Cyber Claw bringing that 37% to that 28. And uppercut going into the Wasp Beam. But Chain Heal is a way to bring it up. So 50% the Bowser goes.
Yep, no, sorry. I can't believe I blanked on the Chain Heal there. That is definitely a really important tool that Waspine has. A lot of people talk about how Waspine, like, has very few real options as a support, despite being a very clear support through its HP, its stats, everything like that. Chain Heal is one of its best tools to do that, and a lot of people have used Chain Heal very creatively in these kinds of situations. Yeah, as we can see the cheer up coming down as well to make sure that it gets that up again, and the deluge potentially in the following turns, even though the H-Slap is coming down on Bowser here.
Yeah, not too bad. So interesting enough, choosing to run that H-Slap just so that he's able to waste more stamina and get those tireless procs. But man, oh man, even with the H-Slap, it looks like the Diamond 4 will be bringing that defense back up to +4/+4 defense, special defense respectively. So Tourney here to stay, not trying to go down too soon. However, 𝗵𝗵𝗻 maybe just one wastewater away from overexerting and starting to rack up that attack +1. However, I think at that 50% HP, he could only maybe do that or easily one turn here. But if he wastewaters this next turn for that +1 attack, he's going to be taking huge HP on that overexertion. So we'll see.
Ooh, this is a little curious here. So we do see the Chain Heal come out again thanks to the cheer up. So we're just getting constant HP back up on Bowser. Once again, the synergy Tourney's Garden, as you're saying, giving a whopping 20% now in comparison to its previous value there, putting Bowser right back up to 65% despite everything 𝗂𝗵𝗆 has done to break this wall. You may be right. I may have jumped the gun too soon in saying that 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗀 doesn't have a bulwark. Turns out, like, I misjudged this Tourney. Very capable of just sitting here and saying, no, I'm not going down to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
I was just gonna say, I think the game plan going forward, if 𝗵𝗵𝗴 takes this game, I think the one doing the heavy lifting here is that Wasp Wing. So as we see, just that +1 attack 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗀, one uppercut is enough to take it. So now Tourney indeed feeling a lot more vulnerable.
Oh, and that uppercut actually stealing a valuable buff turn from 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗀 there. Okay, things may be turning around here after all. My only concern here is, as we've seen, there's no real Doom protection on 𝗂𝗵𝗆's side. So, like, once this 𝗵𝗵𝗻 goes down, he's run out of his hardcore wall breakers to deal with this Tourney. So, like, he needs to make this last turn that it's on the board count. Like, yes, it's +1. It's going to be going to a +2. Is that going to be enough to take down this +4/+4 Mad Lad Tourney?
Yeah, we'll see. And you know, Quarter, I just remembered Revitalize is a technique that Piranha learns. So maybe a little heals are still on the table for 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗀. It's not online just yet, but turn 2, if it doesn't go down to an uppercut Noxious Bomb, a Revitalize on the Tourney could be huge, because that is 100% the win condition for 𝗵𝗵𝗻. So we gotta be on the lookout for that. I'm willing to bet, looking at 𝗵𝗵𝗻's team, it 100% has to be running Revitalize, right?
I couldn't agree more. I think that's one of the things that makes Piranha such an easy slot in these kinds of teams, because you get the Purgation, which of course removes the counter Doom and gives you that +1 attack. You get the Revitalize, you get Cold Geyser now alongside Energy Reserves. If you're going Patient, it just means you can sustain that much more. We might be expecting a Patient Piranha out of this, meaning that you can use the priority of Aquatic Whirlwind on Piranha as well. Revitalize, however, I don't see any world in which you don't run that on Piranha. It's one of the things that makes it such a valuable support, despite its awkward defensive stats on occasion. Looks like he's actually concerned about its security there as well, as he might be expecting a Wastewater Nox Bomb in on that turn, trying to draw fire with that, but it looks like The eyes are on the prize here as 𝗵𝗵 is going straight for the jugular, trying to take down this Tourney before all said and done.
Yeah, not too bad of a game plan, because I believe at that 7.4%, one hyperkinetic strike, which is indeed online on this sweatband bowler, and should be enough to take it down despite having +4 special defense. 7% just a little bit too low. So I think 𝗵𝗵 maybe has to swap out into the 𝗧𝗵𝗺 in the back. But even with that, how are you taking down the sweatband target on 𝗬𝗵 side? I think 𝗬𝗵 getting the upper hand after doing those set of attacks right there. Beautiful read, not going after the fish and chips, going after, as you said, the big heavy lifter in that Tourney. So good play. That last turn right there might have been the deciding blow. If he takes down Tourney, that is all said and done. I don't think Edgelord or the Piranha can do enough to take down the remaining of 𝗬𝗵's side.
I think you're entirely right. If 𝗬𝗵 had taken down 𝗬𝗺 that turn, this game would basically be over. Now, that said, I may be discounting what 𝗵𝗺 can pull off with a 𝗬𝗺 and a Piranha. Once again, that penance purgation into 𝗬𝗵𝗵 game plan could still be something that we see there. It's awkward, but it's still something that's in his pocket. We do see the Piranha come down again, attempting to probably eat a couple more of these hits in, try to siphon stamina as things continue here. We see a bush come down onto Edgelord. Not going to get any special defense off of that, obviously, but going to potentially draw some fire, soak up some stuff with this evade, perhaps, as it does eat the Electro Punch. If that Electro Punch was a wastewater, or if it had just gone onto the Piranha end, then, I mean, obviously that would have been an even better thing there. But 𝗬𝗵 still, like, I think it's a wise decision to split your attacks here. You don't want to just leave this 𝗬𝗺 feeling like it's king of the world. But I feel like with the Nagais in the back, 𝗬𝗵 can kind of focus this right spot.
Yeah, so let's see. So as you said, Cyber Claw enough to take it down. 4x damage, way too much being a 3 prior move. Purgation does come off, but that's an attack. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be fast. I mean, Piranha, no, not decently fast. I mean, rather slow. But I mean, I guess 𝗂𝗀𝗇𝗺 will be enough to take down the 𝗧𝗵𝗺 if he's able to get it off. Noxious Bomb. But man, let's see. Wastewater does bring it down to that 3rd percent HP. Does Volan do the remaining, or did he just decide to focus down the Tourney? Because I believe that will be the most ideal line to play. And yeah, Feather Gatling taking down the Tourney. So geez, I believe 𝗵𝗺 fought so valiantly, but I think 𝗬𝗵 showing us why he went 5-0 in this Swiss round. Just a solid, well-rounded team put together. And 𝗵𝗺 bring us to a game 3. We're heading into the game 2 here.
So one of the things is we look at both of these teams, actually. The 𝗵𝗵 on 𝗬𝗵's side was one of the things I was looking at on, like, sort of a review there, and I'm like, wow, that actually did a ton of work. But 𝗵𝗺 just goes straight for the jugular. He says, I don't care about the 𝗵𝗵. I care about what that 𝗵𝗵 copied. And what that 𝗵𝗵 copied was the tireless 𝗵𝗃 that ended 𝗵𝗺's game plan, able to power through well over half of his lineup. This does leave the Turok that he did ban open, but I think that may come with the advantage of not having to deal with that monstrous momentum that tireless 𝗵𝗃 brings. Like, what, even disregarding the uppercuts and the wastewaters and how much damage those actually did, I think the thing that the tireless 𝗵𝗃 did there that was important was just never having to stop. All those turns that 𝗵𝗺 gained in terms of, like, good stonewall timings, crystal deluges, etc., were kind of nullified by the fact that the tireless 𝗵𝗃 just never had to stop swinging.
Yeah, it was quite impactful. So yeah, 100% 𝗵𝗃 was the big damage dealer throughout, especially with the 𝗵𝗵 copying that tireless 𝗵𝗃, maybe making it double per se. And you know, with Turok, at least Piranha has some effective damage, as we mentioned before, with those 𝗂𝗀𝗇𝗺s. So, you know, you couldn't do that against the 𝗵𝗃. So I think you have slightly easier time against the Turok. But man, Turok just such an effective Temtem into the carrier 𝗵𝗺, which will be that Tourney. So turn 1 Stone Ball with that Deceit Aura synergy, making matters worse. So let's see, 𝗵𝗺 might just picking up Tourney to have on his team, but probably not staying in that turn 1. A little bit too strong, unless No, I mean, I don't even think a crystal spike on Nagaz is even worth it. That stone ball is just way too impactful.
Oh yeah, and with the 𝗬𝗺𝗺 on the field, I'm assuming this is a 𝗬𝗬𝗺, guys. We can expect the stone ball to be hitting before anything else there. You don't want the damage onto Tourney before you've gotten the buffs on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you know, we didn't see the Pokés on game 1, right? I don't recall it whatsoever, so I think this is going to be a slightly different game now that the Waspine has been taken out of the equation as well. So I'm not seeing any heals except for the potential revitalize from the Piranha. So this could be a very different game. He does have the stone wall for that 𝗬𝗺𝗺, so I'm willing to bet Tourney perhaps becomes a rotor. That way you at least get a stone wall perhaps on your Pokés. But Pokés isn't really too ideal. Doesn't have effective damage into any of 𝗬𝗵𝗆's Tems. But maybe just a little neutral, little by little, is enough to get the job done. We have to wait and see. But let's
You know what I kind of expect turn 1 here, now that we're looking at this. Obviously the best turn 1 move that Pokés has that it gained this patch is slowdown, and we do have the ability for the Luaddle to come in here relatively unscathed. It can eat a stone ball relatively easily and pull a slowdown off onto this Turok for the following turns.
Yeah, very true. We'll see if he's considering that. So it will be the rotor potentially trying to set up for stone wall, but now the 𝗬𝗺𝗺 nowhere to be seen. So, all right, it looks like a good double switch for Reaper, getting everything online for that fish and chips Piranha. I don't know if he's running aquatic whirlwind. We haven't seen it, but that's rather effective as Turok. A little bit lacking in that special defense department, but at the very least, I believe 𝗂𝗀𝗇𝗺 is a 0-hole move, so that is always online, and that is effective damage on Turok. But maybe he goes for a purgation first, but has to be a bit careful of those noxious bombs. But wait a second, Quarter. How does energy reserves work? I can't recall. Is it when you just take effective damage or when you fall below a HP? Do you recall?
It's when you fall below 30% HP.
Okay.
So if the, like we've seen before, 𝗵𝗆∗ Piranha is more than capable of taking a Nox Bomb from this, and the energy reserves would definitely be something that would be valuable there. I don't know if that's happening this turn. Okay, it does look like it's staying in, so if we're going to see anything, it's probably going to be a Stonewall on the very important healer here, as we see the Piranha actually get stolen by 𝗬𝗵𝗆 as it bounces out for the Tourney. No, we're just going to see the Tourney get stonewalled again, as 𝗵𝗆 manages to psych out a turn in which a Nox Bomb is falling onto a Tourney that doesn't give two hoots about it, only taking under 5% damage from that and getting a stonewall for its trouble.
Yeah, not too bad whatsoever, and that caused Voldern so much stamina, but the sweatband recovering quite well. But at the plus side, 𝗬𝗵𝗆 does get a +1 special defense, which will come in very, very handy if it ends up facing off against the Tourney later game. So nonetheless, kind of a good play there for 𝗬𝗵𝗆, but still, but the buffing up on Tourney, that is the game plan Reaper has been going for and finding a lot of success doing it. And you know, respect to 𝗬𝗵𝗆 copying this Piranha. So now, you know, both of these guys had Earth Temtems, but only one of them had a water pressure. Now 𝗬𝗵𝗆 has a little water pressure of his own. So maybe Reaper has to make a swap out on this rotor spot. Who is he looking at in the potential back line?
Honestly, okay, so if we're looking at what could eat that further roller, I feel like the Pokés is probably the best secondary thing, because everything else there is actually a bit vulnerable to water. But the other thing I'm really noticing here is that purgation is going to be so massive for the rest of this game. Taking out Doom, like, this is priority number 1 now for 𝗵𝗆 to scare off the board somehow. He needs some way to take this out, otherwise this game's basically done. He'll have to stall it out instead, because as long as this Mimit is able to just stay a Piranha, then, like, the combination of purgation onto specific threats, the combination of H-Slap, Revitalize on top of that, that's just way too many things that play well into 𝗵𝗆's team, especially when he's using Doom as such a powerful win condition.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could definitely see that, like, purgation on Turok, purgation on 𝗬𝗺𝗵 could be really nice. But let's see, focusing down the Mimit, 100 down to 67, so a little bit over 30. And the water jet, not enough because of the shelter and the umbrella we're seeing there. So mitigating that 20% if I recall, 20% water damage from that attack. And the +1 defense a little bit healthier there, but still going down to a potential 𝗂𝗀𝗇𝗺𝗺 next turn. But yeah, I'm impressed. 𝗃𝗄𝗃 just staying in with the rotor, almost just willing to let it go. Maybe going for a final stone wall if it doesn't get attacked here.
So the energy reserves does go off there. The Revitalize is going to be going down on the Mimit, as it is going to just do its best to stay alive, as 𝗧𝗃𝗺𝗺 will get one last hurrah out the stone wall before it goes down. The Tortonite has been set up at this point. Garden is available, but since Purgation removes Dune, he can't go throwing that around yet. This is why this Mimit is such a high target. The biggest and most important game plan for 𝗃𝗄𝗃 is currently being obstructed. He has to actually take this down.
Yeah, and little by little, I mean, the Revitalize making matters worse. I mean, the Crystal Spike is doing more damage than the Revitalize, and Revitalize being every other turn and running out of stamina despite having that Invigorize. I missed it. The word slipped my mind for just a second there. The Invigorize saving that 50% of reduction on stamina. So hey, these are the two Temtems that Reaper loves to have on the field. But with that 𝗧𝗵𝗵 being there, oh man, this is a board 𝗧𝗵𝗵 really has a good time. But oh, you can't do anything if you are sleeping there. So beautiful stuff for Reaper.
Yeah, once again, that slowdown, as I was talking about, when you're in a sort of board where you can properly take advantage of it, it is such dominating control. Now, once again, like that turn 1 move, it's easily something that can drop onto the Mimit as well. There's nothing that 𝗂𝗵𝗆 can do to stop that, and that could actually be what stops 𝗂𝗵𝗆 from just keeping this Mimit on the board, right? Like if you have to get chased out there, no, he actually he doesn't blink. He keeps the Piranha in and is willing to just let it get slept there, as the Faraday cage lands on it, as well as perhaps we were seeing 𝗃𝗄𝗃 expect some kind of a swap there, anticipating that, but no, the Piranha just goes charging into the 𝗨𝗏𝗨, removing any additional slowdowns on this. So the sleep control's gone now. 2 Tems are down on 𝗃𝗄𝗃's side, and as we can see once again, like he's throwing damage into this Piranha, but it ain't moving, and it's at +4 attack. Those water jets are smacking.
Yeah, smacking. That almost looked like 4x damage, but that was just 2x into the digital there. But man, if there's one saving grace, is that Tortonite is already buffed up super deep. +5 defense, +3 special defense. Is that enough? I mean, 𝗂𝗵𝗆 has so many Temtems, and look at the 4 other Temtems besides the Mimit. They're all at 100 HP. So Reaper's done a fantastic job buffing up his own Temtems, but hasn't really dished out the pain against 𝗂𝗵𝗆's team. So he sooner or later has to try to whittle these guys down, but perhaps a bit easier said than done.
So, once again, anticipating some good moves there in terms of Psycho. He has kept his reads good. Moving out the Pocus as the Crystal Bite from 𝗧𝗵𝗵 does go smacking down on that. That would have been way too much damage on a -1 defense Pocus. Those aren't the sort of numbers we like seeing out of 𝗃𝗄𝗃 there. And in the meantime, Fish and Chips does come in to both eat that and start threatening out this 𝗧𝗵𝗵 again. Of course, even though wastewater is a terrorizing thing, Water Jet's still something you have to be careful of, and a stone-walled Piranha with the kind of spread that we were expecting this Piranha to have, and the double screen, that's a lot to try to take down.
And yeah, double screen plus the stone ball, not even going up to 50%, but the wastewater does pack a punch. Does the 𝗧𝗵𝗵 overexert to do so? I believe he might have overexerted. Let's take a look, but energy reserves does proc, and he does very slightly to do it.
Revitalize brings it right back up, and the Tortonite's Garden is now on field now that that Mimit is finally gone. The Purgation source is out of the way, and 𝗃𝗄𝗃 can commence with his initial game plan. Now, he is doing that with 2 Tems already down, so with his back against the wall like this, is there going to be enough time for him to get the Doom that he wants there? It's not like he's getting the synergy Dooms that he wants either. He hasn't been allowed a lot of his better tools in this second game, so can he manage to keep this going? Also, it looks like the same buff issue is happening on Piranha. Now that I'm looking at it, that was not a +4 Piranha I was seeing earlier, because like that purgation only happened, like the energy reserves only happened once there. So like I'm assuming that's like +2 on those attack stats there, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right. I believe it could be a little bit of a visual bug like we see on the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 when he gets that madness buff, or when he gets the trance trait, it shows +4 attack, special attack, and special defense. So yeah, I wonder, there's no way it actually has +4, right? That would be insane.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's we saw slaps go down instead. But we do see the Pocus come back out, trying to soak in a bunch of stuff there. As the Stonewall do come down, he is finally getting some of these buffs that he's needed. The Tortonite big enough and thick enough that it's not being targeted, meaning there's enough time for him to get these buffs out. We are watching how Reaper Psycho gets this kind of a buffed state sort of in real time right now. It's like, you know, you get one threat up real well early game while taking advantage of a forced reposition, and then you just spiral off from there in the mid game, as we're seeing right now. That Pocus was so low earlier, the -1 defense really an impediment for it, and now it's basically got a Kinu buff.
Yeah, you know what? Haven't been paying attention. Is this a rejuvenate Pocus so that the Gamma Burst now can recover a little bit? I'm gonna bet it is. I can't recall the other one. Is Dreaded Alarm and Yeah, I'm willing to bet it is rejuvenate, so able to recover a little bit. He's not super tanky because of it, but Cyber Claw almost enough, and I think this Noxious Bomb will bring it down. So man, 𝗵𝗵𝗆 just putting pedal to the metal, one temp after another, 3 Temtems on Reaper squad already down, and this is it, guys. Just final 2 Temtems standing for Reaper side. Can they do the reverse sweep? 𝗵𝗵𝗆 has a lot of healthy Temtems, but one of them goes down this turn. Oh man, this is tough. This is an uphill climb for Reaper.
Yeah, this is my concern at this point for Reaper Psycho. Like, this is, in my opinion, his worst case scenario, right? You have still gotten your win conditions online, but you haven't eroded enough of 𝗵𝗵𝗆's position that he can't just throw Tems at the wall right now, right? He's in no position to try to, like, swap out the Turok because it's doomed anyways. It's going down this turn. He can OX and just throw damage into this Piranha, and now the Piranha's down. You have literally a Tortonite against the world, and Tortonite has not suffered this new world of low stamina well. Even though this is an efficient Tortonite, it's still going to be taking far too much stamina drain from all of its moves, and in the meantime, you've just got 2 slots constantly coming into you inside this period of time. I don't know if Reaper Psycho will be able to sustain this.
Yeah, oh, and to make matters worse, I was thinking the Vulcan was coming in, but I guess he didn't want to go into some effective damage right away, just trying to chip away at Tortonite a little bit more with his other Temtems and save that win condition Vulcan for the very end. So maybe trying, you know what, I think this is a play for 𝗵𝗵𝗆 to dish out the Reaper a little taste of his own medicine, if you will, trying to get Tortonite's Garden online and end it in some style with the Doom shenanigans. Because that's the only thing I could think of bringing in. I guess it's just tanky against the opposing Tortonite as well.
It does feel a bit like showboating. I can't say I'm against it, though. Obviously, it's another thing for Tortonite to throw its stamina into, if this is like a way in which to both chip away at it and potentially try to get that cheeky garden back on it as well. That's always a very powerful thing to see. I don't think we're going to see that. Mimit refreshes its hold every time it comes in and transforms into something else, so it's going to take us one more turn to see that garden come online. But we could see potentially a spicy Stonewall if Reaper Psycho does not overexert to get this second crystal spikes off. We see the Hyperkinetic Strike come down from the Valorant, which is still more than capable of dealing with that. We see the Reactive Vial actually proc as the overexertion is made to take down the Mimit.
Yeah, just a necessary evil there. Overexerts by a bit, 10% there. But Vulcan with that sweatband, little by little, gonna be chipping away at this Tortonite. And I think 𝗵𝗵𝗆 is still gonna be remain undefeated in this tournament. He looks like he's going to be taking down Reaper Psycho, but needless to say, Reaper Psycho did indeed put on a performance. really different team than we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing more of that Naga's Electric Custodian, Ragnit, toxic heavy teams in the top cut, or if it's not that, just really hyper aggro. So hey, big respect to Reaper coming through with a very different Doom style team and executing it quite well. It was a pleasure watching it, but it looks like 𝗬𝗵𝗀 just a little bit too much for him. But wait a second, I say that and it's still reasonably close here.
That reactive vial, despite the fact that it does mean that 𝗬𝗽𝗍 is really good into this Tournament for a small period of time, it does mean that 𝗬𝗵𝗀's actually better not even attacking with Valorant right now. Like, just save your stamina. That did so little, I actually barely could notice the change in the percentage there. We do see, of course, the Garden go down, as that is going to be 10%, followed by Doom on the Valorant, so we do still see the ticking clocks, of course, but the Fury is going to be coming down like a mighty force and bringing it right back down to 47.1%. This is the point where the 𝗬𝗶𝗴s really start there. The Feathergat, now that it's back to being super effective, is going to be doing real damage. We still have the hyperkinetics up as well.
Yeah, and we did see the hyperkinetic was somewhere in the neighborhood of 20%, so I believe a Feather Gatling plus a Beta Burst plus the HKS next turn, that will be all said and done. Reaper Psycho, so close, but not close enough. 𝗬𝗵𝗀, as we said, will continue his undefeated streak. Can this man be stopped? 𝗬𝗵𝗀 coming here to game, and I believe with this victory, he does secure his spot in the AAL. So congratulations to you, 𝗬𝗵𝗀. We will be seeing more of you down the road. And yeah, as we said, just a good old HKS at +3 special defense, not enough to hold on. I believe we did see it do over that 20%, but very solid effort nonetheless to Reaper Psycho. I'm still genuinely impressed. Really cool stuff.
Oh yeah, as a quick aside here, like Reaper Psycho has consistently performed this strat since I believe like late 𝗬𝗏 meta, and they've been refining it. I remember first seeing them solidly in 𝗬𝗍𝗺 when they really picked up Tort and Benefactor Kinu, and they've been sticking with it all this time, and it's really nice seeing them having refined that to the point where they made top cuts like this. It's really impressive, and when players stick to their guns like that and try out off-meta things, it shows that you can be rewarded by a lot of position gained. Still though, well played to 𝗬𝗵𝗀, keeping that undefeated streak so far. Let's see if that stays up to the semis plus.
Yeah.